Hey everyone, what's up folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Hopefully you guys had a good start to the week. We're here on Johnny Boy's account level 100, and today we're going to be doing a kind of a takeover account review of his account. So if you guys aren't aware, I'm doing these monthly takeover kind of giveaways on my Discord. So if you guys are interested in getting involved, check out my Discord channel in the description below. But basically it's going to be not a random selection, but I will select one account to go over per month. At least that's what I'm trying to stick to. So for the first month of this takeover giveaway thing, I'm doing 2 accounts. So Johnny Boy here has our first account that I'm gonna hop into and take a look at and try to give some advice and try to work a little bit with his account, give him some direction and offer him some help on what he was asking for. So first, let's see what he was asking for here. So Johnny Boy here, hi, I'm level 100, probably classed as an end game, have decent resources. I'm looking for help with 3v3 and I'm stuck on a mission. Need to get to silver 4, need some advice, put in each team. I'd be grateful if you could do a team that can do the last stage of Shogun. That's no problem. We can have a look at that, no problem here. So just a quick rundown here. He says he's an end game player, so we'll have a quick look here. He says he's played the game for about 2 years now. He spent a little bit, not free to play or anything. He says mostly mobile. What else does he say here? That's about it. So end game player, spent a little bit of money, mobile player. So we'll have a look at his account just to assess where he's at in the game. So let's see here. So first, he is on the Ramon 2 missions. He's stuck on the silver 4 mission. So that's probably where he needs help on. He's halfway through the missions here. So generally when somebody says they're end game or they're in the end game, basically all this stuff is done. So Ramontu is done, all that stuff is done. So I would not say that someone that hasn't finished Ramontu would be considered like a real super end game account. He does have pretty good resources here, good shards, void shards, ancient shards, has some primal shards as well, sacred shards. So he's looking good. He's looking good for any kind of fusion activity. Great Hall is progressed, but definitely not end game levels where end game players are probably fully maxed out. Maxed out is 240 levels. So I would say this is probably like a late game account, not so much end game, whereas end game is basically just like super optimized, doing the hardest content in the game, for example. Let's take a quick look at his progression levels. As I would expect from a super endgame player, he would be maxed out on all progress. 47 seconds on Minotaur is a little bit slow. What's Ice Golem looking at? Level 10, 8 minutes. We got Spider here. Spider's at 33 seconds. Dragon looking at 6 minutes. Yeah, it's probably more like a late game account. Fire Knight. Level 6. Fire Knight's a bit of a tricky account, tricky dungeon because you do need some specific champions. The main champion is basically Newt. Without Newt, this dungeon is very slow and difficult. Sand Devil here, 220, okay. And then Shogun here, about 2 minutes. So he's looking for a Shogun team. Let's see what we're working with in terms of his account, in terms of his roster here. So his roster here, we're looking at pretty good roster. I mean, sizable, lots of 60s. He started empowering his epics, so that's cool. I see some good champions here. We got Rotos here in a 4-piece Cruel. So 4-piece Cruel is not going to be as good as like a Savage set. He has good stats on him. Good stats overall, like good build overall. But not a Savage set. So no Savage set, no Ascensions on his gears. Well, he does have Ascensions, but they're not the proper ones, so he still needs to work on these. So definitely a lot of work to do, but otherwise you want to get him in a Savage gear. Like I said, the stat distribution looks pretty good. Tanky, good speed, one crit cap, good crit damage, so it looks good there. Fully booked, looks good. Soul Reaper, I would probably take, if you're doing arena content, you're probably looking at Polymorph or Rotos. Otherwise, I might consider doing something with Ward of the Fallen here, just to give him some extra survivability. Just kind of enhances his already very tough kit. Giving him some extra survivability just makes him last a little bit longer. Masteries here looks pretty okay. Down to Helm Smasher here on a T6. Looks good. Looks like a good build. Otherwise, Arman's here, very important champion. what's he got here? This Arman's build, 260 speed with accuracy. He has the 5-star bonus here. This is definitely not going to be good enough in terms of, depending on what arena level you're at, 269 speed is definitely not good enough for an Armand. You need this champion to be super fast, and if he's not super fast, he needs to be in stone skin. So this build is definitely not good enough. He does have decent accuracy, but you're sitting on the 5-star blessing here, so you're definitely going to want a little bit more from this build. After that, what do we got? Artak here in Regen and Immortal, probably to solo some content here. He's running Brimstone. Okay, Brimstone is fine. He has an insane amount of accuracy. This is not a solo build because he doesn't have enough resistance to run solo, and Brimstone doesn't work against Ice Golem. So I'll be curious to see where he uses this Artak. Maybe he uses it in Hydra, or maybe he uses it for Dragon. That's the only place where I can see the Brimstone working, but for Ice Golem, it's not going to work. If you want to do solo content, you need resistance. Otherwise, the speed looks pretty okay. Masteries look fine. You can definitely take Eagle Eye off and then give him Oppressor here, so he picks up some more speed. If you're doing solo content, for example, fully booked, looks good. After that, I got Wixwell here in a Reflex. Reflex set here. That's good. It's probably part of his Clan Boss build. 200 speed. Yeah, probably part of the Clan Boss build here. That's fine. Rathlos, what does he got here? Just broken pieces. Okay, broken pieces. Good speed. Quick capped. I mean, the build looks fine. The build looks fine. He just needs now that you have the proper set, like the stats on the champions, you need the proper sets on the champions. So lethal gear, savage gear. For Rathalos, since he does fully ignore on the A2, you can get away with, for example, like Slayer gear or Merciless gear, maybe like a 4-piece, or Relentless plus Merciless. Those are probably like super endgame builds. Otherwise, if you're planning to use the A3 as well as the A2, then obviously some ignore damage would help the A3 deal some extra damage. What do we got here for Ultimate Death Knight? 6-piece Ultimate Death Knight looks good. No resistance, so it's just an EHP build. Got decent EHP. If you can cut the speed down completely, you got 31 speed here, so you want to cut that speed down quite a bit more. If you can swing it, fully booked. Brimstone, not sure why you got Brimstone on him. Maybe you're soloing stuff, but for Death Knight, I would probably put, honestly, without resistance, I would probably put Polymorph on him and give him maybe like 100 more accuracy. And so at least you can polymorph some champions, because without resistance, he's just going to get debuffed. He could get debuffed a ton. And since he's just kind of like your wall, you kind of want him to, resist some of that, some of those debuffs if you can with the polymorph there, help you out. Oh, he's using War Master, so he must be running. He's using War Master on his Ultimate Death Knight. I'm not too sure. With 6-piece Stone Skin, I'm not too sure about this. Usually this means like you're doing some solo content. Usually what you would do is maybe you would go down to Fearsome Presence for some boosted chance on Polymorph. You could go down Unshakable for some extra resistance. But yeah, War Master seems like an interesting niche selection. Maybe you have a specific use case for him, for example. He's got Visog here. Visog looks like a solo build, perhaps. No resistance, so he can't do solo. No books, so it's a pretty new addition. Yeah, he has Oppressor, so this looks like solo masteries, but this is not really a solo build. So you need resistance on any kind of solo champion, or you have to have a partner with the cleanser. But new champion, so he's still working on it. Wukong here with the only Savage set I've seen so far. Yeah, so definitely like not endgame account here. It's definitely a late game account. He's working on some things, but the builds look fine in terms of stats. Just doesn't have the right gear on them. So let's see here. He's okay speed, okay damage, got a little bit of accuracy. He is in a Savage set, so it works. It'll work for him. You got Temporal Chains here, which is another interesting choice. Usually, again, if your Wukong has accuracy, you just give him Polymorph to perform in Arena. If you want him to have extra damage, you're probably taking Reaper here. Blessing, Temporal Chains is a bit interesting here. You got Helm Smasher, that's fine. Helm Smasher is very, very fine for Arena Nuker. What's he running here? Accuracy, yeah, 5-star accuracy banner. What's he got? He's got Grazur. Grazur's very, very nice. Good champion, good speed, quick caps. Yeah, these are, you know, the builds are fine, right? The builds are fine. He's got the right idea. He's got quick caps, good speed. Most of the champions here. He just needs better gear, right? The gear is just not there. What's he got on Trunda here? He's got 1, 2, 3, 3-piece Merciless. He's missing the 4th piece for Merciless. He's got 1 cruel set on. You know, good speed, crit cap, good crit damage, good attack, but he just doesn't have the right sets. So he's got the right stats, but not the right sets. Heaven Cast must be for Hydra. What else he's packing here? He does have a nut. So a nut makes things like a lot of dungeons a lot easier. So let's see here. Yep, crit cap, good crit like decent crit damage. Got accuracy to land his TM drops. So definitely fine. Giant Slayer here is fine. Okay, that's a decent build. Decent build. Mithrala here, just accuracy, good speed, fine accuracy, and fine resistance. This is a fine build. It's a fine build. Brimstone, that's fine. What else he's got? Rhonda, broken pieces, decent speed, quick capped. He's got Archer. Archer should make Hydra pretty easy here. It's got, yeah, got the proper build on him. What's he got for Eostrid? Eostrid here, she's quick. She's got a little bit of accuracy. That's good. Curse set, great. Looks great. This one looks good. Lydia, she's a little bit slow. She's like a little bit slow, but that's okay. Got some accuracy. Broken set, looks fine. It's got a Harima here too. It's got a lot of champions here, but you got no gear on them. 240 crit damage in broken pieces. Like, she's not going to be doing enough damage with these builds. The only savage set we've seen, or lethal set, comes from the Wukong. So Wukong, I assume, is his best damage dealing champion, maybe. Let's have a look at his gear and his stash in here. So what do we got here? I'm gonna check out his lethal gear. Okay, he does have lethal gear, but he has nobody geared out in lethal. Crit damage glove. Nope. Yeah, I mean, he has some gear, but for some reason, no lethal geared out champion. A little bit interesting to see. Maybe just no time. Savage gear. He does have some savage gear pieces here. Yeah, he does have some pieces here. Like, this chest is pretty good. Attack with ascendant attack, crit rate, crit speed. It's got some pretty good okay substats there. So yeah, some okay pieces. Maybe just, oh, this is a decent weapon too. Double crit damage, double speed with attack percentage, HP percentage. For example, that could go on Rhodos pretty good. But yeah, so definitely take some time to like gear out some of these champions a little bit better, perhaps. I would definitely recommend the optimizer. We do have the optimizer here, so I will run it here for him to see what kind of builds will show up. Let's jump into that. All right, so I got his account loaded up in the optimizer here. So here's his Rhodos. Let's have a quick look at his Rhodos. It's his only 6-star champion, so I imagine that he wants to invest in him the most. So I'll pump in a build similar to what he has. He's currently running 227 speed, so I'm going to put 220 speed here. I'm going to run all his gear on his account, and I'm going to find the best possible build in terms of overall damage for his Rhodos. 540. It looks very similar to what he's running, actually, so that's kind of interesting. In the meantime, while that's running in the background, let's have a look at his fastest champion. Oh, wow. I see a Duchess here as well in 4-piece stone skin with resistance. So he's trying to build resistance. 410 resistance is not going to do anything. You definitely need to increase this resistance. I would recommend at least 600 to start, and that really depends on what level of arena you're planning to tackle. If you're still trying to do silver 4, you're probably looking at least 500 to 600 to start, and then you're going to work your way up. This build is just not going to do too much because her being slow with stone skin basically means that your team can get debuffed. Let's say your team gets block buffed on them, and then she can't even, when Duchess gets a turn, she can't even veil them or place block buffs on them because they have block buffs. So usually you reserve like a slower stone skin champion for like a cleanser, for example. Then that cleanser can come in, cleanse off the debuffs, for example. But here, having a super slow Duchess here with basically no resistance, it's just not, maybe it's just not the main champion for him, so it's not a big focus. His Arbiter here, looks like this Arbiter is 300 speed. I don't know if he has a second Arbiter. He does have a second Arbiter. So first Arbiter here, so this should be his top speed champion, is 324. I mean, 324 is not going to be super viable. Even in some classic Gold 5 situations, 324 speed is not viable. I mean, you can make it work, but it's not going to be like easy cakewalk for to handle a lot of content. I mean, Silver 4 sounds about right. So here is the Rotos build again, so 304. So it looks pretty similar to what he has right now, except it is in Savage and Cruel. So right now Rotos is using a basically 4-piece Cruel, which is only 10% ignore damage. So here in this build, you're packing the Savage bonus plus 1 Cruel bonus here. So you're looking at 25 plus 5%. So you're looking at 30% ignore damage. So extra 20% ignore damage with basically very similar stats to what he's rocking right now. Similar attack, similar HP, similar defense, similar crit damage. But it's taking gear off of his Wukong. So it really comes down to whether he wants to take gear off Wukong and put it on his Rotos as his best damage dealing champion. But this looks like a very good build for Rotos if he so chooses to go this route. But yeah, definitely load up the optimizer if you can and run it that way. But let's as an exercise do Rotos first and then do Wukong second. So we'll lock in the Rotos here. So we'll do this one equipped and then we'll lock him up. And then we'll go into his Wukong and then we'll gear out his Wukong with the available gear remaining. So here we can do optimize. So his Wukong is what, sitting at 200 speed. 200 speed is okay. It's not going to be excellent, but it's not bad. So let's go 220 speed, similar to the Rotos. Let's give him 200 accuracy because he wants to do some debuffs. And then we'll give him all the gear that's remaining that's not on Rotos because we locked Rotos away. So let's see what kind of build we get for Wukong here after Rotos takes the best damage dealing gear. So it looks like, let's see here, 260 crit damage with 7k attack. It looks like it's going to be a broken piece build here, maybe with Cruel gear. But we'll let that run here for a second. All right, so here are the builds for Wukong. Let's see the stats totals we got. So here, the second best damage build for Wukong after Rotos takes the only Savage gear available is this 4-piece Cruel set with a Perception set on it. And total stats here, 230 speed, 285 crit damage with 7.4k attack. So it's significantly more attack, significantly more crit damage than the current build, but it doesn't have the Savage set. So minus 20% ignore damage. So that's going to be some Wukong here. It just looks like he doesn't have very good damage dealing sets. Let's take a quick look at a defense-based nuker, and maybe his defense-based nuking gear is better. So we'll check out the gear for Harima first. All right, so I just put Harima into the optimizer with 220 speed as the minimum. And we're going to check out the first build here. And it looks like it's going to be a single Cruel set with 2-piece Merciless. So there's a bunch of broken gear here. Gets a ton more defense than the existing build and a ton more crit damage than the existing build with some more speed. So you can definitely improve on a champion like Harima, but I don't know if he, obviously he has gear split up between Trunda, Newt, Rathalos, so he has some pretty important champions for his account. So maybe the Harima is not going to be that important for his account, and he can't spare the better gear off of the other champions. So it really comes down to how he wants to prioritize his champions and what he wants to do with them. But in my opinion, if we're going to build proper arena champions, we're going to have to invest in some of our best gear into our arena teams. So let's jump into what we need to do today and work on his 3v3 teams. I'm going to try to make some teams that make sense, and I'm going to offer some suggestions on how to play and gear them. So currently this is his running defense right now, 800k total power. He's running in, I believe, silver 3 right now. Sorry, silver 2. Silver 2, he's trying to work towards silver 4. So he's running this as his main defense here. Let's have a look at what we can do, and yeah, we'll make some suggestions. Okay, so for his first team, I do like having at least one. So this is defense, so I do like at least having one speed team as your defense, and then the rest should be mix and match of different champions. So for a speed team, I would probably recommend something like you go Arbiter and then you go Speed Tune into Armans. I would like Armans to be faster. His Armans is very, very slow. It's about 269 speed. So I know his Arbiter is only about 320 speed, but I want the Arbiter to basically connect with the Armans. Ideally, Armans is in a 4-piece Stone Skin build so that he actually can get a turn, right? So for example, if somebody else brings their speed team in and then tries to control your team, if your Armans is in Stone Skin, you can get a turn back, especially if the other speed team is very generic, it doesn't have like lockout, or if they're not paying attention and they're not targeting with their own Armans, for example, then your Armans can take advantage after that. So after that, I would probably play somebody like Emic. So you go Speed Arbiter into stun and lockout, and then you can go some kind of protection and taunt against your nuker, and then you have your nuker come in and blow them away. So this team would work for like defense or offense. Emic in a Stone Skin build would be ideal. I think that would work pretty well for a team 1. Team 2 here, I think it works pretty fine. Generally, Rotos is a kind of like an easy target against people because they just bring like their own UDK. So unless your Rotos is like super strong, or you have a super strong tanky team around him, I wouldn't really bring your Rotos because he just kind of gets picked apart a little bit easier. So I'd probably sub Roto here for a Harima. This actually makes the build extremely strong because you do have the increased defense here from Mithrala. She brings some crowd control here as well with her Hex ability. And then once you place the Veil on Harima, it's very hard to kill Harima because she reduces the damage on everyone. You're protected by UDK, you're protected by Veil. It's just a lot going on here, and I think this is a really big trouble team. Honestly, I think this team works really well. Rotos, for example, takes double turns. So if he takes double turns, he's going to come out of Veil. It's going to be a little bit easier to deal with than the Harima, obviously. And Harima does bring the extra damage reduction as well from her passive. So I like this team too. I think it's fine. Team 3 here, I don't really know why this is like this. I know the Seeker is here for his... basically, when he gets hit, she places increased defense on everybody, but why? And then you want the Seeker here for the increased attack. Why would you use Seeker here? I think you might want to take a chance with like Eostrid. Eostrid's in a decent build, and she does place the increased attack as well. I would probably just run maybe one damage dealer. Again, Wukong is fine as a damage dealer here as well. Okay, so the other thing you could do here is bring in Grazur as well. Grazur brings a heal, team heal as well. But I think here, since Wukong doesn't really benefit from team healing, Wukong just kind of dies. I think what I would want to do here is probably bring these two down like this. This looks really strong as well. We could bring the... I like the UDK with Wukong as well, because UDK in a proper slow Stone Skin build gives Wukong many revives. So it gives them a chance to revive multiple times, and then gives them a chance to bring his A2 back and then basically blow up the enemy team. So in this case, you're packing a bunch of revivers here. You don't really need to bring this many revivers just because you do have the Wukong here. So I think I'm just going to replace... maybe remove the Python and bring him back down here. So we'll have like a proper like I guess resistance team here, or a more tankier team, right? Because you're bringing Stone Skin, and then you bring Harima's passive, and then obviously some healing here, This team would be very difficult to deal with. And then for this team up top, you could probably even bring in somebody like Ancora here, which brings in the revive, brings in the debuff transfer here, so it makes it hard to debuff your Wukong, for example. I kind of like this build here as well because she also brings the cooldown reduction. So she brings back more Veils, brings back more AoEs. And since UDK won't be getting too many turns, won't bring back too much stuff from too many skills from UDK here. But yeah, I like Ancora here as well. Works pretty good. So generally, I think this would be kind of like my team setup. So your 3 damage dealers here would be Wukong, and then Harima. If you had a different 3rd damage dealer, it might be interesting to sub out this 2nd Wukong. It's a little bit hard to incorporate the Rotos in here, but I guess you could bring the Rotos here, just leaving him with these 2 revivers. This could work out okay, but yeah, it really depends how much stronger his Rotos is compared to his 2nd Wukong damage dealer. I don't see another damage dealer that kind of works here. You could go for maybe Stultus. Stultus does self buff, so you don't need the increased defense. You could go Ragash. Ragash also self buffs, don't need the increased defense. But these look like kind of B tier nukers on his account in terms of their blessings and stuff. So somebody like Rotos or his 2nd Wukong could work out here as well. But I like these teams compared to what he was using before. So I'll bring up what he was using before, and then we can have a quick comparison. So this is what he was using before. So we'll bring that up here. And so initially he was running the speed team with Lydia and then the Armans. So here we just basically take out the Lydia because we don't need decreased defense and weaken, and we just use the Armans for control. We use the Emic for some extra protection, just in case things get, just in case the enemy has a lot of stone skin, for example, and they're getting some attack turns. But you need your Armans to basically have enough accuracy to control their team and sheep their team, so that you don't really need anybody in Emic's spot, to be honest. But Emic just brings them a little bit extra insurance. Lydia here, I mean, it kind of works. You don't necessarily need it. She's kind of a sheep target in some cases. Her passive can be useful. But yeah, it kind of, I don't know if it's going to be better or worse using it, but maybe his first team is totally fine. But I do like going from Arbiter straight into Arman. So you don't need the increased speed from Lydia, for example. But you definitely need to work on your Arman's build. 269 speed without stone skin is just not going to work for him. So definitely bump him up. Bump up your Arbiter if you can as well. And just running through his Arbiter into the optimizer, his top speed is 347. So currently his Arbiter is running about 324. So he can squeeze 20 more speed onto his Arbiter if he so chooses. Not sure where the gear is coming from, but it looks like these are not main champions here, so you can definitely increase your speed of your Arbiter. So you want your Arbiter 347, that's the top speed, and then you're going to want your Armans to be close enough so that they don't get cut in on each other. So here I ran his Armans through with 300 speed minimum. I got a build with 311 and 600 accuracy. So these are the pieces that you're going to be looking for. I mean, they look like they're not coming from key champions here, right? Like they look like they come from a bunch of tier B champions or secondary use champions. So definitely improve the builds on your key champions for Arena here if you really want to take this format a bit seriously. If you want to do better in this format, you need to like start gearing them up properly so that they actually have workable builds for the difficulty that you're using. So this Armans can definitely be improved. So that's what we're going to do here. After that, you already ran the build for the Wukong. Wukong is in Savage Gear. He can definitely have a better Savage Gear build, but you have to decide whether you want to put your best build on Rotos or Wukong. So one or the other. After that, we had I believe we have our 4-piece Duchess here, which is definitely not good enough. For example, it's not good enough for Arena. 230 speed with 4-piece stone skin. I don't think it's strong enough with 400 resistance. All right, so I ran some builds here with Duchess, 250 speed minimum with maximum HP. I cut the resistance from her build because 400 resistance is not doing anything. So I've added about 20k HP, about 20 speed as well. You see some pieces here aren't even being used. He does have a stone skin banner that you can use to complete your set as well, so I can definitely help you out with some builds. But you need a build something like this, and this is in a 6-piece stone skin build. So you got 2 turns of stone skin, giving your team extra survivability when they're under veil, giving her extra survivability when she cannot get hit or get damaged. So something like this would definitely help out this these builds, and this Duchess build, for example. This UDK actually works fine. It's a little bit fast, but it has okay EHP. It has 6-piece stone skin. It can definitely be improved, but it works pretty fine. I don't like the brimstone here, but you might have been using it for something else. You definitely need more polymorph on more of your champions. Basically, any champion with accuracy should run basically polymorph if they're using mainly for arena. So for example, Duchess here with Life Harvest is fine. Wukong with Temporal Chains is probably not ideal. You either want him in a damage blessing like Reaper, or you run him in cheap, just because he does run a little bit of accuracy as well. So after that, we're moving on to the next build here. For Ancora, for example, if you're not using her currently, definitely bring her in. If you have a bolster set, put her in bolster set. If you have stone skin, put her in stone skin. Fast 6-piece stone skin, similar build to Duchess would be ideal. Rhodos here is going to be in your second best attack-based damage dealing set. So we know that it's going to be a 4-piece cruel set based on what the optimizer said. Your Wukong, one or the other, will be in the Savage set, depending on which you want to prioritize more. Lastly, the last team here that I put together for you here, Harima definitely needs to be in a better build. We saw in the optimizers that she can gain quite a bit of stats here just by using broken pieces. But yeah, you're going to need some better sets. You have the right stats, but you don't have the right sets. So we're looking at lethal gear, savage gear. Definitely need to hop on that merciless gear, of course. So definitely get some of those, work on those. Need to hit the farms, hit the farming, the dungeon farming, the Dark Fae farming, for example. Got to hit the crafting, got to hit the oring. Yeah, so Python here, it's going to be in a similar build to again, similar build to Duchess and Ancora. You're going to be looking at least 1 turn stone skin, quick. Doesn't need accuracy or resistance or anything, just make him high HP, good defense and stuff like that. Your Mithrala build currently is running a perception build, just broken piece build. She's fine for PvE, but for arena you really want her in at least 1 turn stone skin. Make her super fast so that she can do the cleanse right away and save your whole team. So that works pretty well. Grazur, I didn't really check out your Grazur build. But I would imagine that he is not built for PvP, sorry. Let me have a quick look here. Yeah, I mean, sorry, we did look at this. It's a fine build. It's a fine build for PvE, but for PvP, again, you probably want him maybe in stone skin, although he does have a passive that protects him, so doesn't necessarily need it. So this build probably just works fine just for arena. But I like that he has the passive that kind of protects your whole team. I like that he has AoE provokes. I like that he has increased defense. Yeah, I like he can deal a little bit of damage as well. So I think he works well in that team. But yeah, let's check out his Python build again. Oh, it's in Relentless. Interesting. Yeah, you definitely want him in 4-piece stone skin if you can swing it. But yeah. Maybe he uses the Python for some other builds, but you can kind of see the trend here, right? We're looking at lots of stone skin pieces, with speed and good EHP. So it looks like you have a pretty good stash of stone skin stuff. I mean, mostly a lot of 6-star gear stuff too, but a lot of it is not rolled up. You definitely need to roll some of these up. Ugh, these pieces are not good at all. You need at least speed on them. None of these pieces have speed. That means he must have rolled up the speed piece already. There you go. We got double speed here, double speed here. Sorry, I moved my head. Double speed here, double speed here. None of these pieces have speed. Yeah, it looks like he's kind of targeting the pieces with speed. He is. He's rolling up the pieces with speed. Okay, so he knows what to do in that regards. Yeah, it's, you just gotta put these pieces to use, right? Like double speed here. Gonna have to put some of these pieces to use, right? Yeah, he's targeting the correct pieces to roll up, but he can definitely roll up a lot of these pieces and make some more builds. Like for support champions, you don't necessarily need like the best pieces, just need them to have HP and good speed. So, all right, so there you go. Hopefully that was helpful for your arena progress, gave you some ideas on what you need to do. It's quite a lot of work done that needs to be done as well. So good luck with that. Let's hop over to the Shogun. And we'll take a look at what he's rocking here for 25. He's rocking an Emic team with max HP damage from Seer, max HP hit from the Nut here. Not too sure how this team would work, but let's run the optimizer and see what he can build. All right, so it's just some ideas for you here. It is a pretty consistent run, 148 battles with 100% win rate, 18-second run. Run double cold hearts with the Renegade and Emic. So the Emic is going to be placing the taunt here to protect your team from getting blasted. He probably, let's check the team here. I might not have, oh, I do. Let's see here. So who's running the highest crit damage? Renegade has the highest crit damage here, so she is baiting the first hit. She's in a bolster set to heal up. So she baits the first hit from the Shogun, and then Emic will be placing the shield to protect your champs. The Nut goes in, hits. So he goes hit, hit, hit. So he goes, sorry, Emic goes taunt. Nut goes hit. Cold Heart hits. Cold Heart hits. Renegade will reset. And then Trunk Heart probably takes another hit. And then you're going to do a bunch of A1s. And then Trunk Heart will have the taunt back up. And then you guys do a bunch of more A1s. And then after the two sets of A1s, then the Nut and Cold Heart will come back in to finish him off. So 20-second run here. I mean, yeah, this looks like a pretty straightforward build. If you can build this, then you're all set for Shogun. If you need some more options here, definitely you don't need to have level 60 Renegade or Cold Hearts, but you need to hit the stats. You need to max damage cap them so that they deal maximum damage per hit on their Heartseekers. After that, I mean, you could run maybe something like this. How does this team work? You gotta figure out how these teams work. Actually, I'll show you the preset on this team so that you actually can build this team here. So we got the presets here. So A2 is off, A2 is off, A2 is off. So the Nut, let's see here. Where's the Nut? Nut actually has the A2 going second. Cold Heart's A2 is off, and then the Renegade's A2 is off. The multi-hit A2 is off. Yeah, that makes sense. This A2 from Nut is probably best to turn off, but I guess he doesn't want to go A1 into the Shogun to trigger more stacks, more shade stacks maybe. That kind of makes sense too. Okay, yeah, so just follow these AI settings here, and then you can build this team without any issues. Let's see, I want to check out another team here. Let's check out this Python build. Seems a little bit more realistic in terms of speed ranges. You got Nut here 260, Lydia 280. So you got double cleanser, 2 attackers, and then 1 reset champion. So masteries, so the AI settings here. Let's see here. So you open Blessed Bash, Siren's Wail, open with the cleanse. Whisper comes in, opens with the A3, reset, and then you do it again, I guess. Yeah, I mean, this works. Shogun is pretty flexible nowadays. The speed ranges definitely can be probably a little bit, a little deviated from these, but I think this build looks more realistic for your account that you can achieve. So definitely look into some of these teams here. I mean, Ruella here, you do have a Kymar in your roster. What about this? Emic, the taunting. This one has double taunts, so Emic and Narhorn double duting the taunting. What do you got here? Painkeeper team. Painkeeper double taunts with the Nut and 1 Cold Heart. I guess the Painkeeper comes in kind of similar to like what Renegade's role is. in terms of getting you back to your big slams. So anyways, hopefully that gives you some ideas for your Shogun teams. You definitely have a lot of options here. And I think after the update fixes and the nerf to Phantom Shogun has been a lot easier to make teams that work. You can definitely improve on your 2-minute and 2-minute run here with some of the teams that I suggested. All right, so there you have it. Hopefully that was enough to help you through some of the content that you were asking for some help on 3v3 and for Shogun. Hopefully it gives you some ideas and some advice on what you need to do. Like I said, definitely you got the stats right on a lot of these champions, but you definitely need some better gear sets, better gear on them to make them more viable in some harder content. So you are trying to tackle the highest levels of Shogun, and you're trying to enter the gold ranges of tag team, which are some of the highest ends of content in this game. So definitely work on that. Definitely improve some of your builds. There's a long way to go, but that's part of the fun of the game. Best of luck to you. Thanks for letting me jump on your account, Johnny. And yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Johnny's account and my advice. And I'll see you guys in the next video.